Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on definitely more than 10 minutes and not less, the Idris Peacemaker, which is right behind me. Let's go ahead and take a look. And of course, a big thank you to everybody that helped me with the review of the Idris Peacemaker. This thing is phenomenal and you all are truly amazing. Alright, welcome back to another review, and today a massive one, just like the prior Idris video. That one was never completed just because they took away access to the Idris that I did have, because they removed it from the mission set and we couldn't get a hold of it again. So part one was the only part. This one here will be the entire review of the Idris-P or Peacemaker with the T kit and the K kit. I'm only going to show you a few seconds of the T kit, and that is on screen as you see right now. That is a size 12 torpedo launcher. It is $350 if you're to buy it Warbond, or $420 if you're to buy it with store credit. Now that is a kit, so it comes with a few additional items that you would swap out on the original Idris-P that normally doesn't have a pilot-controlled weapon if you do not have one of these kits. Now, that T-Kit gives you about 24,600,000 total damage in torpedoes because, like I said, it has the size 12 torpedoes. But I will say, those torpedoes right now, just like every other missile or torpedo in the game, very hit or miss, and there's a good chance they're never going to make it to their target. So you're not going to really be able to output all that damage at any point, unless you're shooting at targets that don't have anybody in it. Now, if you're talking about the K-Kit, which I have currently equipped on the ship, that is a massive laser beam, and that laser beam is called the size 10 Exodus laser beam, outputting 15,000 pilot damage per second when equipped. Now, that is $250 Warbond or $300 in-store credit. None of these kits are available for purchase in-game, just like the ship right now is not available to purchase in-game, but one day it should be, as it's been officially released for others to buy and fly, which is awesome. Now, there's also the idris-m that comes with a massive, really awesome gun on the front of it. It's like a ballistic weapon, and that is called the Destroyer Mass Driver. So think about it as your shoulder-mounted rail gun, but in a massive form, outputting a massive amount of damage, 9,611 damage per second when you just click and fire that thing instead of charging it up. Charging it up does give it even more damage, but it's a massive one-shot cannon that if you miss your target, then you gotta wait and recharge and try again. But it is really cool. I don't currently have any video of that, but let's go ahead and talk about the Peacemaker right in front of you. This ship here, if you were to get destroyed for some reason, does have a claim time of 3 hours and 19 minutes. Now, if you were to expedite that, it does go down to 49 minutes and 45 seconds, which is honestly not terrible given the size of this ship and what it can do for you. And what it can do for you is a lot, but that is just dependent on if you have one of those kits available or if you have it crewed. Even with some crew members, you're able to do a lot more than if you had nobody on this ship. Solo, you can definitely fly it around. It does have point defense cannons, which are AI controlled little guns that help prevent any sort of little fighters from getting on top of you, but that won't stop everything, and it's just truly soon we're about to have engineering, which will make it almost impossible to fly this ship solo. So something to consider there, even though people will always try, but I really don't think you're going to want to when your, ship in the complete opposite side catches fire and you're sitting up in that pilot seat alone. It is not going to be a fun time. Now, this ship, if you were to buy it on the Pledge Store, when it is available, it is $1,500 Warbond, or if you buy it for store credit, it is $1,900 in store credit. Now, they did run their first 6 waves, but there was a lot of purchase issues with that, which was honestly too bad, and they're going to go ahead and redo a certain amount of waves and hopefully adding additional steps to prevent any sort of botting or anything from acquiring those additional waves. That would honestly be the best move, right? Now, like I said, if you have one of those big kits, attached to the ship, then the pilot does have a big amount of damage per second. But if you don't, you have to ask yourself, what can this ship do for you? Well, as the pilot, absolutely nothing. You're just flying around a massive ship with a ton of turret firepower on there, allowing you to output a ton of turret firepower if you have them manned. So with that, you do have 8 manned turrets, giving you 2 size 5 M7A laser cannons, or adding on to that 14 size 5 CF557 Galderines. So overall, that's a lot of guns and a lot of firepower. And then you have 4 remote turrets with 8 size 4 Revenant ballistic Gatling guns, and you have 11 point defense cannons on this ship. Overall, you have 18,760 turret damage per second. And as of right now, inside of the Evocati build, they are, fixing a lot of issues with this ship, and they're changing some things like the turret rotation speeds and stuff, so it's only going to get better in certain areas and potentially worse in others. But, time will tell. Now, this ship does have 2 size 4 shield generators outputting 2,340,000 quadrant shield, and that's a massive amount of shield generation for a ship, but, this is a behemoth of a boat, so it definitely needs that because it's going to be a very big target. These ships are currently being targeted by some out there in the verse, and that's honestly no surprise. It's a very big, trophy to claim. Now, you do have a total of 15,515,000 ship HP. That is as of 4.1.1. In 4.2, the doors got a boost in their health pool of around 300,000, so that HP amount should go up a little bit, so do expect that. Now, this ship does have a top SCM speed of 110 with a top forward boost of 220 and a backwards boost of 125 with a total nav speed of 850. So it is honestly quite reasonably fast, just as fast as the, let's say, Star Lancer TAC, which is quite interesting. And I do know that in my TAC video, I said the correct speed, but on my little information down below, I put the wrong speed. That was my bad. Now, taking a look, this ship does have a 7-7-12 pitch yaw roll, so you're definitely not going to outmaneuver pretty much anything in the game, as that is the slowest pitch yaw roll you could pretty much have. Now, boosted, it is 8-8-14, so again, you're not going to be going anywhere fast, so don't expect to do so. Surprisingly, when you're in the pilot seat, it does feel quite maneuverable, but with those stats, it shouldn't and it won't. In 4.2, it definitely feels like a massive brick, just as it does now, so nothing has changed there. For countermeasures, you do have 1,200 flares and 300 noise. That is a massive amount, and as it should be, because this ship can not only just carry you around in your pizza delivery, but it could also carry an assortment of different vehicles on the interior hangar, which we'll take a look at here shortly. This ship does have 6,400 hydrogen fuel and 120 quantum fuel. That is quite impressive, to the point of where you're not going to have to stop anywhere for fuel for a very long time. Now, there is one caveat to that, is you do have some ballistic weapons. If we talk about the remote turrets that I discussed just a moment ago, that does have 8 size 4 Revenant ballistic Gatling guns. That is one of the reasons you'll be stopping at port once in a while. My suggestion, get those things ripped off there as soon as possible and put on some CF-447 Rhinos. That is going to help keep this ship in the air without having to ever return to base unless you're looking to repair. Now, let's talk about the interior of this ship. First, I'm going to go ahead and make my way over there, and I am having the sound on this time, and we're going to see how well that works out. This ship does carry 1,374 SCU of cargo in that hangar bay and certain other areas of this ship. Now, there is only one ground access point to this ship. Right now, I'm looking at the side of it, and there's no way to get up on this ship unless you were to go to the very back and use the ground ramp. Now, if you go up via that ramp, you can have access to this entire ship, but there is also a few other ways to get on this ship, from docking collars to the front hangar door to also the door on the bottom that allows you to bring on your Argo cargo or Argo personnel carrier, and that's another way to get on board. This ship is technically a frigate capital-sized ship that is never supposed to enter atmosphere, but for only dry docking reasons for repairs and other means. So with that in mind, you can board this ship in a multitude of different ways, but usually you're doing it out in space. So let's go ahead and get on up this ramp here so I can show you the interior of this ship. Now, as you can see, I do have a good amount of helping hands on this ship, and they are fantastic, making sure everything is running smoothly for this walkthrough. And right here we have the hangar. This hangar here can carry a multitude of different vehicles, from the F7, the F8, the Terrapin, the medical Terrapin, any sort of tank, ballista, or any other ground vehicle currently in the game, as well as many, many more flight-ready ships out there in the verse. Now, if you're asking, can it fit the new Guardian MX? I wouldn't try it. The Guardian is just too tall, and when you do put it in here, it is such a tight fit that is definitely not worth attempting to do that. Now, as you look around, this has a lot of space on this floor, and this is typically where a lot of your cargo will sit. Anywhere you see the mag plates on the ground, you'll have a lot of cargo grids right here in the hangar bay. Now, on the right side of the ship, you have your control room and main deck. The Idris is really good at being very, very descriptive about where you're heading if you just keep your eyes up, which is really nice, something you don't see in the Polaris. This is the side of the ship we're going to start on first, so I'll go ahead and open this door here. Once you make your way through this door, you have your Argo Hangar 1. This is one of your entries. You have another one on the other side of the ship. So let's go ahead and take a look really quick and see what this looks like. If you go down here, you do have access to one of your turrets. You go ahead and go in there, and it'll take you straight on down. And then if you make your way through this door, then this door, you have your Argo, personnel landing zone. So this is where you would land that ship. All you would do is go over to the refueling station, hit this button, and it'll open this door here. Once this door is open, you would bring your Argo personnel carrier or your Argo cargo carrier, which honestly, I wouldn't want to bring cargo through here unless it's a very small box, because there's no big doors to bring that up to the cargo grid. But once they are hovering in here, you would go ahead and shut this door, and they'll go ahead and land right on that pad, allowing it to be a very comfortable journey. But anybody you're bringing on board will then have to suffer going up the stairs on either side and then taking a short trip up a ladder, so something to consider there too. Now, if you make your way through this door here, this is one of the best looking rooms on the ship. One of, there are many, and this is where you're going to have your gravity generator. Let's go ahead and open the door here and take a look at what this looks like. If this doesn't scream Event Horizon, I don't know what does. This beautiful room here is your gravity generator room, allowing your personnel on the ship to stay heavily planted on the ground, thankfully, and you can definitely close yourself in here. Very cool. Gotta love that. The design is very beautiful. I wish to see this in more ships out there. It's just something really cool about that. Now let's go ahead and make our way on out of here. And again, like I said, if you were to go to your left once we get into this room, it takes you down a hallway with another turret access point and then the other side. Let's continue back up this way. Door, ladder, So now that we're here, now if you go ahead and take a look, this is the door we came through. This is one of your areas here that you would just go and store some equipment. You go ahead and open that up, and you have some storage access points. And there's a couple of them too, so you can store quite a bit, which is honestly fantastic. This area also has a lot of windows, which looks great too. And then if you make your way right on over here, I put myself on the other side of the ship. I just realized that. See what I mean? This is a very big ship. We entered from there and we went on over to this door here. This is the control room area, and this is where we're going to start. Again, more cargo access or storage access points right on over there. And then if you make your way up the stairs right here, you can go ahead and see this is your hangar bay room, the control room that controls everything to do with the hangar bay down below. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and hit the button here on the left to close the rear hangar door, or if you hit the button on the right, you can open or close the hangar door on the front. Now, this is on each one of these consoles here, and that is honestly just truly amazing. So when you're on the way up to the bridge, you don't have to shut the doors from up there. You can just do it from right here, just like Meandering Stray is going to go ahead and take care of for me sooner or later here. So that is fantastic. Now, there is a lot of great detail all over this ship. If you're looking around, there is just so much to look at, and it just feels really well lived in, and it looks fantastic. You know, it's really sad. You look at the Polaris, and then you look at this, and you're like, wow, both of them are military ships, and this one just feels so much more military. More alive, more paint, more, direction, more signage. Just everything feels like it should if you're about to get into an active combat vessel. Now, if we make a right turn here, the first room we're going to see is the captain's quarters, as what it says up top. So we'll go ahead and make our way through this door, and we'll turn left here. This is a nice little restroom area. This restroom and locker area is for your general crew, but if you take a look, there is quite a bit going on, including a mirror that doesn't want to show me, which is just too bad. Now, we're going to go ahead and make our way through this next door here. And as you can see to the left, it does say CQ, Captain's Quarter. So we'll go ahead and hit that button there. And as you can see, this captain has it made out. You can go ahead and store a bunch of equipment in each one of these doors, which is fantastic. They have a nice chair that they can go ahead and work on some things. A nice little bench seat with areas to place your, knickknacks and all your trophies that you get from planets that you've conquered. Now, if you make your way through this next area, this is a nice little storage locker. Well, not storage locker, but an armor locker, a suit locker, somewhere you're going to put some of your clothes. And then right through this door, you have, of course, your personal bathroom. Because you are the captain of the ship, you definitely deserve your own personal restroom and shower, which is fantastic, and a nice bed to lay in. So nothing better than having all that available to you, as well as a nice little safe here. You just can't use it yet. Someday, right? Now, if we make our way back through this door, as you can see, the next room is the XO. So if you go through the XO here, this is just another room, but for the XO of the ship. And they also have a private bathroom, as well as a bed, which is really nice. They're separated from the general crew, so something to consider there. Now, if we make our way back to this side of the ship, we're going to go ahead and continue down this hallway here. Now, to your right would be your docking collar on the right side of the ship. So this is at the same spot on the other side of the ship. And this bridge here will take you to the other side of the ship while also giving you a small look at the hangar bay, which is really cool. So if you were to go back on up here, this is a docking collar. So when you dock this ship to a station, more than likely you're going to be coming out of one of these doors. Either one on the right here or the one on the left. Now, let's go ahead and close this door really quick here. And then we'll make our way, as it said, remember, look up, the med bay. So we're going to be heading towards the med bay. First, let's pause. This room here, it's a red room door. This is, it's got some suit locker areas, and then you have yourself what looks to be a clamping area for some sort of station or docking a ship on here. As of right now, there is no accessible points in these rooms, but it does look pretty cool, and I do like the way that they are marked. Now we're going to go ahead and continue on. There's just a lot of great detail to look at. Now, before you get to that medical bay, you can go ahead and take a look at your cargo bay, where a lot more of your cargo will sit on these mag plates, looking really well. I've got to like that. You got some breaker units in here. The detail, I just can't get over it. It is fantastic. Right now, this maintenance access room here is not accessible. It seems like someone pulled the wires, right? But that is not accessible no matter which kit you do have on this ship. So let's go ahead and make our way towards the med bay now, as we're entering one of the final rooms of the ship on the front side. This is your medical bay, where you have your medical office with an officer standing by. And then you have, of course, your medical rooms with multiple beds on the left and then a tier 1 bed on the right. This tier 1 bed will, take care of pretty much any injury that you do sustain in the game, which is fantastic. You have to love that. And then, of course, you have your tier 3s and everything. So, speaking of which, let's go ahead and open this up. And you can see, when you do open this, it'll tell you, regeneration, admin, good to know. Let's go ahead and set my regeneration. I forgot to do that. Make sure you do that whenever you enter one of these big ships, so you can go ahead and spawn in there if you have an accident. Now, let's go ahead and make our way back through this door. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and continue down this hallway. And we're at deck B. And then you have the escape pods and forward turret. Now, this forward turret is changeable. Let's really quick. Escape pods, 3 here and 3 over here. Now, this forward turret is changeable. Depending on the kit that you own, you either can keep it to the size 5 guns that comes naturally with the Idris-P Peacekeeper, which is the M7A laser cannons, or you can swap it to 2 other types of turrets. One of them that has size 7 bespoke ballistic cannons, or the other turret is a missile turret, which allows you to sling some missiles. Honestly, I just keep it as the size 5 laser cannons because they do a great amount of work. Now we're going to go ahead and start wrapping around this side of the ship and take a look on this side. Of course, the med bay, we just saw that, so it looks good. The cargo bay, we just saw that, looks fantastic. Another red room door, which you'd go in there and, use your suit locker and get on out of the ship, or, potentially a docked ship that got on. You have your nice little area here that crosses over that hangar bay and then goes right to another one of your docking collars. So let's go ahead and continue on. Now that sign said mess hall, so we're getting towards the mess hall. Again, captain's quarters. I do like how you can access it from more than one side of the ship. I do like that. Now, before we continue on, let's go ahead and take a look at the mess hall, where your crew will definitely be taking a break, eating some food, drinking some drinks. They're going to be in here making a mess and having a great time, because a lot of the times you're going to be in battle, and then the second you're out, you're going to be in here eating and taking care of yourself. Now, if you make a left turn first, this takes you to that beautiful room that I showed you just a little while ago, with a lot of your hangar rooms and your showers and your bathrooms. And yes, you can definitely open it. And there's some nice toilets in each one of them. You're not going to go near them. They can just stay right there. And it just looks fantastic. It looks like a really well done military vessel at every point of this ship. Now, if we're to go ahead and make our way over here, this right here, let's see what this takes you to. Open that on up. Takes you to the other side of the ship. You're like, whoa. Almost just died by door. Now, if we make our way through this door right on over here to your right from where we came from, this is where your crew is going to spend the rest of their time. They're going to be in here sleeping, sitting down, talking the crap, taking care of, talking to family, yada, yada. And then you do have storage access next to each one of these beds. So you go ahead and open that up and store whatever you need to store. It looks fantastic. A little dark in here, but a little mood lighting never hurt anybody when you're trying to get some rest after a long day of taking care of business. Now, once you walk through here, you do have a nice little lobby room. You can go ahead and come in here with 2 private bedrooms. This would be like your officers' quarters. One here with a nice little desk area and bed, and then another one right on over here with another bed and desk area, which honestly looks really good. So, nice little officers area for the crew. I mean, there's just so much detail, and I cannot get over that. We'll make our way back through this door here, and then right on over here. Now, the pilot ready room, we'll go ahead and check out really quick. This is where the people that go down to the hangar and get into an F7 or an F8 or whatever's down there to go ahead and fight the battles outside of this ship would go ahead and get ready for that day or for the week or whatnot. You have pilot simulators here. This would be a nice little area to get into and simulate out there some battles and stuff without risking your ship or your life. And then if you make your way downstairs, this point is where you would access from the hangar, but from the opposite side. So over there was the control room area where you control the hangar bay doors and everything. And on this side, the pilot ready room, where you have areas to exercise, stretch, run. I mean, it's just a fantastic area to take care of your pilots before they go out on a very long patrol mission or, you know, days of traveling. Again, more storage access points. These points are all over the ship, so you gotta love that. Now, let's make our way back on up here, and then we'll continue on down the hallway. And as you continue down this hallway here, as you can see, to your left, you have another access point to take you to the other side of the ship, as well as an overview of your hangar once again. Now, if we make our way continuing to the front of the ship here, this is the cargo bay. I'm looking at the wrong side. This is the cargo bay where you're going to have a lot of your cargo stored. So, this right here is one of your main cargo rooms outside of, you know, your hangar landing area. This has 2 elevators that takes you right on down to that landing area. So once you hit that button to hangar, it's going to take you right on down to where your ships will be, where your cargo might be, where you just need to go ahead and get access to that. And that's pretty awesome. Or if you're just, you know, bringing some more cargo on, you can bring it on up here and take it up to the main deck, which is really cool. Again, the detail, this is just astonishing. They've been working on this ship for so long for Squadron 42. It is great to finally see it here. So let's go ahead and continue on. So now we're heading towards the engine room. So there's a lot to it. She is a beauty. This door here will take you to the bridge. So if you access this door, it goes from either side of the ship. That elevator right there takes you straight up to the bridge if you'd like to have a quick shortcut if you're on this side of the ship. So now we're going to go ahead and make our way to the first stop. This is your engine room, which you access from this side of the ship. And check this out. As I'm walking through, wow. It scans you, it cleans any sort of particles off of you. It looks fantastic. Gotta love that. And then you're here. The heartbeat of the ship. You are here, and it just looks astonishing. Or as I like to say, phenomenal. This is where you're going to have a lot of your nuclear reactors taking care of your ship, as well as some of your engineering terminals. I mean, the Polaris has an amazing engine room, and this one, it's pretty top tier too. I do like it. I really do. Multiple engineering terminals, multiple areas to go ahead and take care of some stuff. I don't want to touch that. We'll make our way back out of the engine room just really quick. And as you can see, we have escape pods to our right. But first, before we go there, another red room. And continuing down this hallway, we're checking out the main floor before we make our way off to any sort of the branching rooms. This is your briefing room, the briefing room where you're going to go ahead and take care of a lot of, you know, pre-mission briefs or, you know, post-mission debriefs, all sorts of good stuff. And as of right now, it's taking a good look at your ship, as well as just a great area to sit down and just enjoy a moment of peace when there's nobody else here, just like what Cypher 1 is doing. So I'll go ahead and leave him to it. Now, make our way back outside of this door, and we'll make our way through this door here. And this is another turret access point, and I do apologize. This is the rear of the ship. So you go ahead and access this turret, and you do get taken down to a bottom turret, and then briefing room. And then we're now on the other side of the ship, just really quick. Red room and escape pod. So this is where your rooms will branch out just a little bit. We'll start over here, this escape pod area. As you can see, you have these escape rafts that you would crawl into. Multiple people can probably fit in there. And then you open this door on up. And this right here is a armory and shooting range area. So first, we'll take a right turn. And as you can see, you do have your shooting range, allowing you to go ahead and practice your shooting. You know, usually there's a good amount of targets in here. And then you have a nice weapons rack to hold plenty of guns. So you can go ahead and switch out, you know, take care of business, which is just fantastic. I do love it. It is really pretty. And then right here, this is where your quartermaster will stay and go ahead and take care of any weapons that were placed in here. Make sure no weapons are missing. Make sure to take care of everything. It is just fantastic. And in the Squadron 42 demo, this is where that guy also flags you and about blows your brains out by accident because he doesn't know how to handle a gun. Now, if we make our way back outside this door, another armory point here with more weapon storage, tons of it. And then like a security officer would sit here, make sure they're taking care of things, and just some more suit locker areas, as well as just being able to sit down and rest. What a fantastic looking area of the ship. Having a shooting range on your ship, that's ridiculous. Love that. Now let's go ahead and make our way through here. They're just going to go ahead and continue practicing their shooting, which is good. So we'll go ahead and make our way through here. Now, if you turn right, this would take you up to the bridge area. So before we do that, we're going to back it up. So you're lost. Where are we, right? This is a good question. So we're going to kind of make our way back here, all the way back to the control room. So this is where we started originally, where the hangar was. So you make your way up here. Now, if you make a right turn, that takes you to the medical bay. If you take a left turn, that'll take you to the bridge area. Or if you go through this door, this will take you right to the mess hall. It's pretty interesting, right? So we're going to go back over to this side. Pilot ready room, where your pilots will go ahead and get ready. Now let's go ahead and go back down this hallway, and let's make a right turn over here where it says the bridge and the brig. We'll go ahead and go through this door here right now. And as you can see, this is a brig where you can hold up to 6 prisoners, or if you just stuff a few in each room, you can hold definitely more than that, which is honestly always probably a good chance you're going to need that. Must be tired. And then you have, of course, your security room, making sure everybody is, being held well in the brig. You don't want anybody escaping on your ship, because right now there is a fatal flaw to the Idris, where there are 3 specific areas on the Idris that can have a relay pulled, and it can definitely cripple your boat. One of them, right here. One of them, many places. There are a lot of relay areas on this ship that could potentially spell disaster for you, so make sure to keep an eye on your relays when you're out there, flying around. Now, like I said, this is your security room, so your security officer is going to be right here monitoring these monitors, but he must be sleeping on the job because they're all turned off. Nice. I mean, the Polaris has some things beat on it, right? You have working screens and stuff on the Polaris, and here we don't have them working yet, but we'll get there. Now let's go ahead and make our way up to the bridge area. I'm not going to use the elevator. You definitely could. So I'm going to make my way right on over here. It says bridge with the arrow. Continuing on. And make a left turn. Now, instead of going straight to the brig, we're going to go up. Now, if you go up, you do have access to a couple of your turrets. One through this door here. This is where I got stuck on my last review, and it really bummed me out. That's why I had to part it out, and I didn't even get to finish the parts. Here's one of your turrets that goes up. And, of course, there's another one right behind, right through this door. And that is mirrored on each side. So on each side of the ship does have these big old turret access points. This one I like because it has these windows. This looks really cool, facing the front of your ship. That is just super cool. It's too bad these windows are super scuffed up. This is why you got to hand wash your ships. You can't bring them through the automatic washers. It just really messes things up. Now, this right here is your bridge access point. So this is the room you want to keep protected at all times. When you're making your way up, you do have a good looking view here. So if you're getting attacked, you can definitely see a little bit of something as you're getting attacked. Hopefully nothing too crazy. And then you make your way straight on up to the bridge. You open this door and you have 4 seats to your right. These are your remote turret operating seats. So when you get in one of these, you are controlling one of those size 4 Revenant ballistic Gatling guns. Like I said, swap those out immediately. And then right here, you do have that elevator that I was talking about earlier. If you hop in here, you can hit the button. It goes down. Bada bing. And then right here is a starboard, or not starboard, but it says starboard, it says port. This right here is like an escape access point. You can go in here and hopefully get the heck out of your ship. If you have an emergency ship docked, this would be the place to do so. And so, as of right now, I don't think you can actually get out here. I haven't been able to open this door. Even if you open all, you can't seem to do that. So, something to consider there. Now, let's go ahead and make our way up to the bridge here. Now, on the bridge on the left and the right, you do have a multitude of seats. These are the co-pilot, the pilot, and just a bunch of other accessible seats here. These seats are pretty much just engineering seats. You're going to be sitting here controlling power systems, engines, coolers, all sorts of stuff like that. But typically, you don't want to touch that stuff in the middle of flying because your pilot's going to be like, hey, what are you doing? But if you have a good operating team, like we definitely do here, it's not going to be a problem. You can definitely do that. This is your main pilot seat here to the left, and then a co-pilot seat's going to be to the right here, as well as the other seats behind. And then you have a captain's seat, which just sits here, no controls, no joysticks, no nothing. They just get the helm. You get to sit here and throw around the Boston commands. It's just a fantastic looking deck here. Great amount of windows, great amount of visibility. It has the struts of an RSI ship, but a definitely a much better view overall, honestly. That is the bridge of the ship. I believe that would be everything to go ahead and take a look at on this big, beautiful vessel. You do have some server points all over. You have storage access points all over. You're able to fit a multitude of ground vehicles and aerial vehicles on the hangar. I mean, this thing is just beautiful. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and avoid going into the turrets. I do apologize for that. But as you can see, let's go ahead and take a look at some combat footage, and then I'll give you my score. All right, as you can see, this beautiful ship that it is can absolutely just give a whopping to anything that it fights, especially if you have one of those kits installed. I mean, just fantastic. Now, if you don't have one of those kits installed, this ship for me is a 90 out of 100, but with any one of those kits installed, this ship is a 100 out of 100 due to the massive amount of firepower, the massive amount of turret firepower, a great amount of shield strength and HP. The speed and maneuverability, you'd be wondering, well, why didn't you rate that much lower? Honestly, if this ship was any different, it would be overpowered. So the fact that it is where it is fantastic, because it shouldn't be too fast. It shouldn't be too maneuverable. This thing is a frigate, a massive, ship that should be moving at the worst possible pace. And it's what it is. It's fantastic, and I love that. Also, you do have a great amount of countermeasures, and living quarters on this ship is bar none the best in the game because you have so much internal storage as well as a ton of beds, a good amount of space for the captain, the XO, your officers. I mean, there's just a lot going on in this ship that you'd have to take a look at, as well as the countless amount of space for your cargo, your vehicles, your ground vehicles. I mean, I'm going to load this thing up and try to make another video just kind of showing this thing with loaded vehicles and kind of putting it through its tests. But what a fantastic ship. And with the amount of fuel you'll have, you will never, ever have to refuel this ship as long as you're out in the verse. Now, before I end this video, I do want to say thank you to everybody that watched, and good luck to everybody out there that's trying to acquire one of these ships in one of the next waves. You all are truly amazing, and I appreciate all of your support. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the briefing room really quick. Right now, they're getting ready for a debrief of the operation that currently went down. And it looks fantastic. It's good to see everybody here. So let's go ahead and end this video. Thank you everybody for being here. You all are truly amazing. And I will see you all in the next one.
One on top, 1.5.
Asteroid.